In 1949, the world saw the birth of the most successful, brutal, and efficient drug lord in history. He is none other than Pablo Escobar, who accumulated an estimated $30 billion in illicit fortune and was ranked as the world's 7th richest man in 1989. Escobar was smuggling tons of illegal drugs all over the world, as well as ordering political assassinations, gang murders, and even having ties to the Colombian government. Today, however, we'll discuss his bizarre collection of mansions and estates. Escobar kept his money hidden in a variety of places, including warehouses, fields, and several of the vast properties he owned, one of which being the luxurious La Manuela estate. This 20-acre luxury mansion in Guatape's resort town was named after his daughter Manuela Escobar, into which he invested a ton of money. That's probably why there's a massive pool, tennis courts, and horse stables on the property. Escobar was known for buying a variety of vehicles, including 15 private jets and 6 helicopters, allowing La Manuela to have a helipad large enough to play football on and a seaplane dock. Escobar knew that no place is safe, even La Manuela, which is why he placed watchtowers on the property to ensure that no one entered without his permission. Even yet, it was subjected to an enemy strike just 8 months before his death, with 200 kilograms of TNT placed into one of its toilets and detonated, destroying a large portion of the structure. La Manuela was thereafter abandoned and gradually reclaimed by nature. In fact, people frequently play paintball in its ruins, so it isn't entirely useless. Hacienda Napoles is Escobar's second property. This is when Escobar shows his more playful and fun-loving side. This mansion was built for him and his family at Puerto Triunfo, Colombia, and it covered an insane 7.7 square miles of land. The estate was loaded with various attractions to keep his family safe and engaged, including a Spanish colonial mansion, a sculpture park, a zoo that held several exotic animals, and a kart racing track. Not just that, because this heavily guarded Hacienda Napoles was big enough to have a private airport. After all, the estate had enough space to store his massive collection of vintage and luxury cars. However, in 1993, several of the property's original structures were dismantled or repurposed for various uses, and it is now a family-friendly theme park. As the most influential person in Colombia, he is not only settled in his native country, but also has a large amount of property outside of Colombia. One of these properties is the La Casa Grande, which is located on the tiny Caribbean island of La Isla Grande and is regarded to be Escobar's largest estate. To reach there, you'll need to take a special boat from Cartagena and hike through the Caribbean wilderness for hours just to catch a peek of the huge La Casa Grande. There are 300 elegantly equipped rooms within this estate, with solid gold shower heads in every bathroom. It's no surprise that this property is a monument to Escobar's wealth. Not only that, but he also built a hidden party house and commissioned a massive complex that included a mansion with gleaming white walls, a huge swimming pool, a helicopter landing pad, and a dock. However, after Escobar's death, the home was taken over by the government, and it gradually fell into disrepair until being reclaimed by nature. Because La Casa Grande was not treated as well as some of Escobar's other properties, it was abandoned and forgotten. Not every one of his homes and properties was a massive mega mansion. He also owns a less extravagant residence in Colombia's Medellin city. This property was known as the Monocle skyscraper, and despite the fact that it was a very gray 6-story building, Escobar astonishingly occupied it for several years. Escobar's private place, an extravagant penthouse, was on top of it all. However, it wasn't until 1988 that a rival cartel bombed it, forcing the kingpin to abandon it, and it remained abandoned for decades. After Escobar's death, it became a tourist attraction from being dismantled by local officials in an attempt to move on from the building's terrible history. Escobar had a life in which he avoided rival drug cartels while also avoiding police. Yet, as a powerful man, Pablo Escobar managed to avoid being imprisoned by the US while also being shielded from those who wanted his head. He was able to persuade local officials to allow him to construct his own prison. Yes, you heard it correctly. He would be imprisoned but on his own terms. So this wasn't your usual government-approved self-built prison. As a result, the Cathedral was born. This mansion, or should I say prison, wasn't built to keep Pablo in, but rather to offer him greater freedom to pursue his unlawful activities while keeping his opponents at bay. This mansion was built on a foggy mountainside to protect it from air raids and was defended by men. Hotel Escobar was given to La Cathedral because it was nothing less than a 5-star hotel, complete with every contemporary comfort imagined, including a casino, a playhouse for his daughter, a spa, and a football field, as Escobar was a huge football fan. In fact, numerous luxuriously furnished rooms had been added within the structure. Not only that, but he also has a state-of-the-art communication devices that enable him to run his drug empire from afar. But, as we all know, that didn't last long. After it was revealed that he tortured and murdered 4 of his lieutenants at La Cathedral, the Colombian authorities had no choice but to transfer Escobar to a normal prison. And, much as before, Escobar refused and fled, forcing the government to launch a manhunt that involved a 600-man unit force trained by the United States Delta Force. Escobar was eventually shot and executed by the men dispatched by the government to apprehend him. The La Cathedral, on the other hand, has been transformed into a monastery, with most of the original structures taken down by those looking for abandoned Escobar treasure. After that, the cathedral was abandoned, a shell of its former self, for several years until 2007, when a group of Benedictine monks arrived at the site and transformed it into what it is today, a place for religious pilgrimages and a lot more wholesome than it was before, with a memorial to Escobar's cartel victims. Despite the fact that Pablo Escobar owned a lot of property throughout his lifetime, some of it was left to nature to be reclaimed and turned into something positive to remember Escobar's victims. So what do you think of Escobar's many mansions? Were they a bit too much for a drug kingpin? Do you think Escobar would still purchase and build another mega mansion if he were alive? Let us know in the comment below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Lux Life, hit that subscribe button. Cheers!